Hi, welcome. I would like to take a moment to talk about a brief look at sign language from past to present. Sign language has a complex history, uses verbal hand gestures, and is beneficial for developing children. Let's take a moment to look at an introduction to sign language.
I'm taking Introduction to American Sign Language this summer because I've always been interested in different languages and cultures. Sign language is not an obstacle, I would say. It's another way of communicating for us. And if one of us doesn't know a sign, we will help them or we'll act it out. We will draw it, write it, and then if one of us messes up, we will laugh along and then we will help correct them. So we're all very forgiving.
I was really excited the opportunity to be the first ASL class at UNC. I think the students are thoroughly enjoying the class. They ask a lot of questions about languages in general. This is kind of stimulating their curiosity about how our minds work with languages and how different languages work together. So it's been a real enjoyable experience to watch them exploring the language.
Some of the things that surprised me about this class were how much we laugh without any audio at all. It's all just facial expression and manual movements. I want to go abroad. I want to go to different countries and communicate with people of different origins and different backgrounds. So that's what this class helps with.
Have you ever wanted to know more about sign language and its history? And did you know that sign language, when taught to young children and babies, can help the development and communication of other skills? Sign language is a form of communication that has a complex history, uses verbal hand gestures, and is beneficial for developing children. When I was younger, I actually studied the basics of sign language. And as I've become older, I've worked with a few people who use sign language every day, and they've taught me a few things. So I've always had a little bit of an interest in it, but I'm hoping this will inspire other people as well. Sign language has prehistoric roots and a complex history throughout the ages. Sign language is not universally the same. Different countries have different dialects, and sign language has been proven to be beneficial for children and can aid in many aspects of their development. When we look at sign language as a whole, we need to understand its roots, and with that in mind, let's look at its history. Sign language has prehistoric roots and a complex history throughout the ages. Sign language is speculated to predate vocal communication and possibly began with prehistoric humans, approximately 100,000 years ago. According to Larson, paleontologists studied the skeletal structure of hominids, and they decided that the complex speech apparatuses that we have and use today could not be accommodated within the vocal space of early humans. Anthropologists believe that Homo erectus was the first to use hand gestures to communicate. When he became erect, he could not only use tools, but now he could use his hands to communicate because they were free. Sign language struggled to be recognized as a language. Aristotle said that language and speech were the same, and because of that, for 2,000 years, the deaf people, they were denied religious rights, citizenship, they were left to fend for themselves or die. In the 16th century, physician Girolamo Cardano challenged Aristotle. He said the mute could hear by reading, and they could speak by writing. In 1545, Pedro de Ponce opened the first school for the deaf in history. And the Renaissance era was when sign language was recognized as an official language. ASL, or American Sign Language, actually began and is based off of the French language. And it morphed as it was exposed to more regional and very different variations in the U.S. In 1817, Thomas Gallaudet Laurent Clerc to the American Asylum for the Deaf in Hartford to help develop American Sign Language. In 1957, Edward Gallaudet became the principal of Columbia Institution for the Instruction for the Deaf and the Dumb and the Blind, the world's first college for the deaf. Although sign language was one of the first forms of communications for humans throughout the world, it still varies between countries. Sign language is not universally the same. Different countries have different dialects. There are hundreds of different sign languages throughout the world. Sign language actually developed in dense populations of the deaf all over the world. According to the European Union of the Deaf and the European Forum of Sign Language Interpreters, the WFD, which is the World Federation for Deaf, tried to create a sign system, but it was not widely accepted. InterSign, or IS, actually used a national sign language mixed with iconic signs in order to be understood by a larger audience. Sign language is a natural language. It contains linguistic properties the same as any spoken language. And the U.S. has different dialects of sign language within different regions and ethnic groups. And despite the non-universal nature of sign language, teaching children to sign can help them in their development. Sign language has proven to be beneficial for children and can aid in many aspects of their development. Sign language can aid children who have been diagnosed with communication difficulties and learning disabilities, such as autism, fetal alcohol syndrome, or Down syndrome. Sign language can help create an educational environment in which all children, regardless of their needs, can successfully learn and socialize. According to Toth, sign language can offer a means for children to express themselves regardless of their communication barriers. And evidence suggests that signing and speaking the word can help children develop language skills more quickly and effectively, which helps with communication difficulties and learning disabilities. And sign language is beneficial for the development of children without communication difficulties or learning disabilities. According to Maryville University, signing allows babies to communicate basic needs, and it encourages bonding with their parents. Toth says signing helps babies to more effectively learn to communicate the spoken word because they already know the sign, and then they are more easily able to associate it with the word. Research says learning sign language as a first language helps improve reading, vocabulary, spelling, and other communication skills, and it reduces conflict within the classroom setting. From mankind's earliest history to modern days, sign language has aided in our communication with each other throughout the centuries. Sign language has prehistoric roots and a complex history throughout the ages. Sign language is not universally the same. Different countries have different dialects, and sign language is proven beneficial for children and can aid in many aspects of their development. Sign language is a form of communication that has a complex history, uses verbal hand gestures, and is beneficial for developing children. Sign language is a tool for all ages that we can utilize to deliver our language and develop it, as well as our social and communication skills. Thank you.